He chose her. She chose the stars. Humanity moved forward. The station floated between Earth and the deep black of space like a quiet promise. It was old, built in pieces over many years, with human hands and human hope. From the outside it looked small compared to the massive alien stations nearby, but inside it carried the weight of a growing species. Humans had learned to survive. Now they were learning to stand. The station was called Haven Reach. It was where humans repaired ships, trained pilots, and studied alien systems that they were never fully allowed to control. Aliens said humans were clever, but too emotional. Useful, but not trusted. Humanity accepted this role for now, because survival came first. Aiden stood near a wide window, looking at the stars. He had worked here for 6 years. His hands knew metal, wires, and engines better than rest. He believed machines made sense, even when the universe did not. Outside the glass, ships moved slowly, each one owned by another species. Human ships were fewer and smaller, always watched. Behind him, soft footsteps echoed. Lena entered the room, her flight suit half unzipped, dark hair tied back in a loose band. Her eyes were bright, filled with motion even when she stood still. She was a pilot, one of the best humanity had produced. She flew like space listened to her.
"You are thinking again," she said.
Aiden smiled without turning. "I always think." "That is your problem." She joined him at the window. For a moment they watched a massive alien cruiser pass by. Its surface glowed with patterns that shifted like living skin. "They still do not let us near their main systems," Aiden said. "They never will," Lena replied calmly. "Not until we prove something." Aiden turned to her. "We have proven enough. We survive. We build. We learn." "They want more than survival," she said. "They want obedience." Aiden said nothing. He knew she was right. Lena had always looked forward. While others dreamed of peace, she dreamed of distance. She wanted to fly beyond mapped space, beyond councils and rules. She believed humans belonged among the stars, not under them. A soft alert filled the room. The station announcement system activated, its voice neutral and cold. "All representatives are requested to observe the council broadcast. This message is classified priority." Aiden felt a knot in his chest. Council broadcasts were never good. They moved to the main hall where humans and a few alien observers stood together. A large screen lit up. Several alien figures appeared, tall and sharp-featured, their eyes glowing faintly. They were members of the High Union, the group that decided who explored, who traded, and who stayed small. One of them spoke, its voice translated into simple tones. "A deep space region has been identified beyond the outer routes. It contains unknown signals and unstable energy fields. No current species has volunteered to investigate." A quiet ripple passed through the hall. "This mission is high risk," the voice continued. "Failure is expected. However, success would bring great knowledge." Another alien leaned forward. "The Union has decided to open this mission to all allied species." Aiden felt his breath slow. No species wanted a mission like that. High risk meant death. It meant unknown enemies or broken physics. The screen shifted. A map appeared, showing a dark region beyond known space. At its center pulsed a faint light. "The mission requires a pilot capable of long isolation, rapid adaptation, and emotional control," the alien said. Lena stepped forward before Aiden could stop her. "I volunteer," she said. The room froze. Aiden turned sharply. "Lena, no!" She did not look back. The alien stared at her. Some seemed amused. Others curious. "You understand the danger," the voice said. "Yes," Lena replied. "That is why I choose it." The aliens exchanged silent signals. "Very well," the voice said. "A human pilot will be accepted." Aiden grabbed her arm. "You do not know what they are hiding." She finally faced him. Her expression was calm, but her eyes were fierce. "That is exactly why I am going." The broadcast ended. The hall filled with whispers. Some humans looked proud. Others looked afraid. Aiden felt like the ground had vanished beneath him. Later, in the quiet of the engineering bay, Aiden worked in silence. His hands moved fast, checking systems he had checked 100 times before. His mind replayed Lena's voice. "I choose it."
She entered without knocking. "You should be packing," he said without looking up.
"I already did," she answered. He stopped working.
"Why did you really do it?" She leaned against the console.
"Because they expect us to fail. That is not a reason to die. They send others to fail all the time," she said softly.
"They send us to watch." Aiden shook his head. "You are not a symbol. I am human," she replied. "That is enough." He looked at her then. Really looked. She was not afraid. She was ready. "They will not protect you," he said. "I do not need protection," she replied. "I need a chance." Silence filled the room. Finally, Aiden spoke. "Then let me help you." Her eyes softened. "I knew you would." The days passed quickly. The mission ship was prepared under heavy watch. Alien engineers oversaw every step, limiting what humans could change. But Aiden worked quietly, improving efficiency, hiding small upgrades where no one looked too closely. Lena trained alone. No crew would join her. The alien said a smaller presence reduced risk. Aiden knew the truth. If she failed, fewer witnesses would remain. On the final day, the station gathered to watch the launch. The ship was small, built for speed and survival. Lena stood at the base of the ramp. Aiden walked with her. "You do not have to be brave," he said. "Just come back." She smiled faintly. "You chose me. I choose the stars." He reached out, touching her helmet. "Humanity will not forget this," he said.
"Humanity must move forward," she replied.
She boarded the ship. The ramp closed. Engines ignited. As the ship left the station, alien observers watched closely. They believed this mission would prove their judgment. Humans were emotional. Humans would fail. Deep in space, Lena's ship crossed the last known marker. Systems hummed around her. She felt alone, but not weak. A warning light flickered. She frowned. That was fast. Sensors picked up a signal ahead. Not random. Structured. Her heart raced. Back at Haven Reach, Aiden stared at the data feed. He saw the same signal. "That should not be active," he whispered. The signal grew stronger. Lena leaned forward. "Control, I am detecting a repeating pattern." The reply came after a pause. "Continue mission." She felt it then. Something was watching. The stars ahead seemed to shift, bending slightly. Lena took a slow breath. "This is Lena," she said quietly. "Entering unknown zone." The signal pulsed once, strong and clear. And something far older than any council began to wake. Far behind her, Aiden clenched his fists, knowing this was only the beginning. The deep space region stretched endlessly before Lena's ship, a black sea sprinkled with tiny lights that were not stars. Every sensor on her ship flickered with signals she could not fully identify. They were uneven, irregular, and yet strangely precise. Lena's hands moved over the controls without pause, keeping the ship steady, adjusting shields, checking navigation, running calculations that no human had attempted before. She was alone. That alone made her heart race, but the solitude was not empty. The signal followed her, its rhythm persistent, as if it had been waiting. She felt it in a strange hum that ran through the hall. It was subtle yet impossible to ignore. It spoke without words, though she did not understand the language. Behind her at Haven Reach, Aiden pored over data. The readings from her ship were transmitted in real time. Each spike of energy, each pulse of the unknown signal, made his stomach tighten. He had worked on hundreds of systems, engineered thousands of adjustments, but this was different. He could not anticipate what the signal would do.
Not yet. And he could not reach her.
Not in time. Not ever in time if it moved faster than light, or if it knew things humans could not. Lena's training had been rigorous, designed to push her beyond human limits. She had been chosen not for her strength, but for her calm in chaos, for her ability to think under impossible stress. Yet no training could prepare her for what awaited. Her ship's sensors pinged again.
A new reading. Something moved ahead.
Not a ship, not debris. Something large, with form, yet alien, yet familiar. Lena tilted her head. The patterns were symmetrical, almost biological, but made of hard light. It hovered still, watching. "Impossible," she whispered. Her ship's AI responded. Voice calm, mechanical. "Unknown structure detected. No hostile movement detected. Recommend caution." Lena nodded. Caution noted. Advancing slowly. The closer she moved, the larger the structure became. She realized the black void around it seemed different. Stars bent slightly around it. Light flickered strangely. Gravity calculations went wild. Lena gritted her teeth. This was not just a structure. It was alive, in some way she could not explain. At Haven Reach, Aiden watched the live feed. He felt fear clawing at him, a tightness he rarely allowed himself. Lena was not just exploring unknown space, she was moving into a place where human understanding might not exist. He tried to think logically. He ran simulations, cross-referenced alien data, but nothing matched this. Nothing had ever matched this. Lena's fingers danced across the control panel. She adjusted the shields as energy fields brushed against the hull. The ship vibrated under pressure, metal humming in resonance with the structure. She was careful, precise. She could not risk a single mistake. Hours passed, though she had no sense of time. The blackness of space stretched endlessly. Lena studied the pattern of the signal. It was not random. It repeated but in cycles too long for a human to easily track. She began to see a rhythm, a hidden order. The pulses were guiding her, almost like a map, but one she could not fully read. A small alien vessel suddenly appeared on her sensors. It was sleek, dark, and fast. Lena instinctively raised shields. The alien ship did not attack. Instead, it orbited her, watching.
Lena held her breath.
She had trained for hostile encounters, but this was different. They observed patiently, as if waiting for her to make the next move. "I do not understand," she said aloud. "Why follow me?" The alien ship blinked, then moved aside, letting her continue.
Lena exhaled slowly. This region was not welcoming.
Nothing here was random. Every detail, every movement, suggested intelligence. She was stepping into a test, one that no human had ever faced. Back at Haven Reach, Aiden worked furiously. He tried to contact Lena directly, but the transmission was delayed. A warning signal appeared on his screen, then vanished. The alien networks monitored every human frequency. He could not even send a simple message without alerting them. He clenched his fists. They thought humans would fail. Perhaps they had underestimated her. Perhaps they had underestimated him. Lena's ship crossed a glowing field. It was like a ribbon of light stretching across space. The sensors could not penetrate fully. She slowed, careful not to trigger unknown reactions. As she passed through, she felt something deep in her chest, a connection she could not name. A memory, a sensation, as if space itself was alive and aware of her presence. The signal pulsed again. This time it changed. It grew louder, clearer, structured almost like a language. Lena realized it was communicating. She tried to interpret, made small guesses, but her understanding was partial. The pulses repeated in patterns she could anticipate, guiding her through the dark zone. Suddenly, alarms blared. Her ship shook violently. The structure ahead reacted. It released an energy pulse, not aimed at her directly, but enough to destabilize nearby vessels. Lena gritted her teeth. She held the controls, her hands steady even as systems flickered. The alien observers from before had warned nothing could survive this zone without perfect alignment. Lena realized she was not just a passenger. She was an active component in something far older, far bigger than her mind could fully comprehend. She focused, calculated vectors, adjusted shields. She felt every vibration, every pulse of energy through the hull. The structure was alive in some way, aware of her. Her instincts told her it was testing her, judging her choices. The alien vessel returned, not to attack, but to mirror her movements. Lena noticed subtle signals in their patterns. They were not hostile, curious, hesitant, watching. This region had a history, and humans were not expected to be part of it. Yet here she was. Aiden's hands trembled as he monitored the feed. He wanted to reach her, to warn her. But she was too far. Even faster than light communications could not keep pace. He realized something terrifying. The moment Lena crossed a certain point, humanity had no control, no influence, only hope. Hours passed, or perhaps minutes. Time felt meaningless. Lena tracked the structure's movements, its pulses, its guidance. Something shifted. The patterns aligned with her ship perfectly, almost as if it recognized human design, human instinct, human choice. Her mind raced. "It is responding," she whispered. "Only to me." Only to humans. The realization struck her with awe and fear. Humans were supposed to be weak, emotional, unreliable. And yet this structure, this ancient intelligence, was interacting only with her, with humanity. Not aliens, not machines. Only humans. Her training demanded patience. She slowed the ship, carefully, deliberately, allowing the structure to examine her. The alien vessel mirrored her movements. Lena sensed a silent trial. If she made a single mistake, the consequences could be catastrophic. If she succeeded, she might unlock something no species had ever touched. Hayden watched her ship's vitals on his screen. Every flicker, every pulse, every movement was monitored, analyzed. He felt pride and terror in equal measure. She was alone in the greatest unknown, relying on her mind, her skill, and human intuition. That was humanity's advantage. Humans were unpredictable. Humans could adapt. The structure began to shift. Walls of hard light rose around her ship, forming corridors and chambers that seemed to defy space itself. Lena realized she was entering an environment that was both external and internal, physical and mental. She held her breath, knowing that her next actions would define not only her survival, but humanity's place in the universe. The alien vessel remained outside, patient, as if granting her passage. Lena steadied her hands. Her heart was racing, but her mind was clear. This was her moment. Not for glory, not for recognition, but for humanity. She was alone, yet connected to everyone back home. Every choice mattered. The structure pulsed once, a signal she could not ignore. It was not a warning. It was a question. It demanded an answer. Lena studied the controls, the patterns, the data, every instinct screaming. She reached out, pressed the interface, and let human intuition guide her. The pulse grew stronger, surrounding the ship. Lena felt herself lifted, not violently, but with purpose. The stars outside bent, color shifting in ways impossible for any known physics. The ship moved as though it were part of the structure itself. Lena's mind expanded, sensing order and chaos simultaneously. She realized the structure was alive, ancient, and aware. It had been waiting for someone who could understand, who could choose correctly, and she was that person. Back at Haven Reach, Aiden felt it too. The feed went wild. Data spiked, then normalized. The human pilot had entered a realm no species had fully mapped. Humanity had stepped forward without even knowing it. Aiden leaned back, whispered a single word into the silent room. "Go!" Lena's ship continued forward. She did not know what awaited next. She only knew she was human, and that human intuition had carried her further than anyone could imagine. The stars were no longer distant. They were near, alive, and waiting. The light around Lena's ship slowly faded, leaving her surrounded by a wide space that felt closed and open at the same time. There were no walls she could touch, yet she sensed limits in every direction. The stars were still there, but they looked distant, as if seen through deep water. Her ship no longer moved forward by engines alone. It drifted, guided by forces she could not see. The ship's systems were stable, but many readings made no sense. Distance had lost meaning. Time markers shifted, sometimes jumping forward, sometimes slowing down. Lena took a deep breath and forced herself to stay calm. Panic would solve nothing. She focused on what she could control. "This is Lena," she said aloud, knowing no one might hear her. "Ship systems holding. Unknown space stable for now." The structure responded, not with words, but with a soft pulse of light that spread outward like a slow wave. The ship vibrated gently, as if answering back. Lena felt it in her bones. This place was aware of her presence, and it was not hostile. Not yet. Back at Haven Reach, alarms echoed through the monitoring room. Aiden stood frozen as the data streams twisted into shapes no one had ever recorded. The connection to Lena's ship weakened, then stabilized at a lower level. It was enough to see basic readings, but not enough to guide her. "She's inside something," one technician whispered. Aiden nodded slowly. "Not something," he said. "Somewhere." Alien observers crowded the upper platform, their expressions hard to read. They exchanged quiet signals, clearly unsettled. This was not how the mission was supposed to go. The human pilot was not supposed to survive this long. Aiden ignored them. His eyes never left the screen. Inside the unknown space, Lena noticed movement ahead. Shapes formed from light, slowly becoming clearer. They were not solid, yet they held form. Tall figures appeared, not physical beings, but outlines made of glowing lines. They did not walk. They shifted, as if thought itself moved them. Lena's heart pounded, but she did not reach for any weapon. Instinct told her this was not a threat that could be fought with force. The figures paused before her ship. The light around them brightened, then softened. A voice entered her mind. It was not sound. It was meaning. "You have come far," Lena gasped, but steadied herself. She had trained for mental pressure, for strange effects, but this was different. Still, she answered in her mind, slowly, carefully. "I came because I was asked," she thought, "and because I chose to." The light figure shifted. Choice matters. Images flooded her mind. She saw stars forming, planets growing, species rising and falling. She saw civilizations burn themselves out with power. Others fade through fear. Then she saw humans. Small, fragile, persistent. "You are young," the presence conveyed. "But you adapt." Lena felt a mix of awe and fear. "What are you?" she asked silently. "We are the keepers of balance. We are what remains." The images changed. She saw the structure long ago, built not by hands, but by intention. It was created to watch, to guide, to test. Many species had come near it. None had entered fully. "Why me?" Lena asked. "Because you are not empty inside," came the reply. "You question. You care. You choose without command." Lena thought of the council, of how they controlled roots and knowledge. She thought of humanity's limits and its stubborn hope. "I am not here to rule," she said. "I am not here to take." The light figures grew brighter. "Then you may listen." The space around her ship shifted again. Images formed in clear detail now. She saw alien empires built on control, their fear of losing power. She saw humans pushed aside, watched closely, allowed only small steps. She saw the council's decision to send her, not to learn, but to prove humans weak. Anger stirred in her chest, but she kept it contained. "They wanted me to fail," she said. "Yes," the presence replied. "Failure is expected of those who are underestimated." The structure showed her something else. A network spread across the galaxy, invisible to most, controlling travel gates, energy flow, and communication. It was old, older than the council. The aliens did not fully understand it. They only used what they could reach. "They have forgotten purpose," the presence conveyed. "Power without care leads to collapse." Lena understood then. This place was not a weapon, it was a test, and not everyone could pass. Back at Haven Reach, the alien observers grew restless. Data showed unusual energy shifts across several sectors. Minor systems failed, then returned. Routes flickered on and off. "This is dangerous," one alien said sharply. "The human pilot must be removed." Aiden turned on them. "You cannot even reach her," he said coldly, "and you are afraid." The alien did not deny it. Inside the structure, Lena felt the weight of expectation. "What do you want from me?" she asked.
A pause followed, the longest yet.
"We want a choice," came the answer. "Not obedience." Not hunger for control. A choice that considers others. Lena closed her eyes. She thought of Aiden, of Haven Reach, of the humans watching and waiting. She thought of the alien crews she had trained beside, some cruel, some kind, all shaped by fear. "If I refuse," she asked, "what happens?" "Then we sleep again," the presence replied. "And the cycle continues. And if I accept, then you carry knowledge, not ownership." The difference mattered. Lena saw it clearly. She would not become a ruler. She would become a bridge. "I will not decide alone," she said. "I will not speak only for humans." The light figure seemed to lean closer.
Then you understand. The structure reacted.
Light flowed into Lena's ship, not as power, but as data. Vast streams of information filled the systems, compressed and ordered so the ship could handle them. Maps of forgotten routes, records of failed empires, warnings written into physics itself. Lena cried out softly as the load pressed against her mind. She focused, grounding herself in training. Breathe, observe, adapt. Outside the structure, the alien vessel that had followed her began to shake. Its systems struggled as the network around it shifted. "Ah!" The crew panicked, trying to pull back, but the space resisted. Inside, Lena sensed it. "They are in danger," she said. "Yes," came the reply. They followed without understanding. Lena did not hesitate. "Then help them," she said. "Do not punish them for curiosity." Another long pause. Compassion noted. The space around the alien vessel loosened. It pulled free, damaged but alive, fleeing back toward known space. This was the kind of power she could accept, power that protected, not destroyed. Back at Haven Reach, the feed flared. Aiden saw the alien ship reappear, badly damaged but intact. Gasps filled the room. "She saved them," someone whispered. Aiden felt pride burn through his fear. Inside the structure, the presence began to withdraw. The light figures dimmed, their shapes blurring. "You are not finished," Lena said. "No," came the reply, "but neither are you." The space began to open. Paths formed ahead, leading deeper, toward a central point where the structure's core waited. Lena felt exhaustion settle into her bones, but also clarity. She had passed one test. Others remained. As her ship moved forward, she received a brief transmission, weak, delayed, but real. "Lena," Aiden's voice crackled. "If you can hear this, you're not alone." Tears filled her eyes, but she smiled.
"I know," she whispered.
The connection faded again. Ahead, the light grew stronger. The structure's core pulsed slow and steady, like a giant heart. Lena understood that what waited there would demand more than calm or skill. It would demand sacrifice. She straightened in her seat, hands firm on the controls. Humanity had taken another step forward, not by force, but by choice. And the universe was watching. The ship crossed the threshold. The light closed behind her, and the true test began. The light around Lena's ship changed again, becoming softer and deeper, like a slow breath. The space she entered felt heavier, not in weight, but in meaning. The structure's core surrounded her now. It was vast, far larger than anything she had imagined, yet it did not feel crowded. It felt focused, as if every piece of it existed for one purpose. Her ship slowed without her command and came to a gentle stop. The engines powered down on their own. System stayed active, but control was no longer fully hers. Lena accepted this. She understood that force would mean failure. A low pulse moved through the space, steady and calm. "You have come to the center," the presence said inside her mind. Few reach this point. Lena swallowed. What happens now? The space around her shifted. Images formed, clearer than before. She saw scenes from the past, not just moments, but long ages. She saw early civilizations discovering fire, then machines, then the stars. She saw the same pattern repeat again and again. Growth, pride, control, collapse. "These are warnings," Lena said. "Yes," the presence replied. "And memories." She saw the builders of the structure at last. They were not gods, not monsters. They were a species not so different from humans, curious, creative, afraid of loss. They had built the structure to protect balance, but even they had failed in the end. Their fear of others had driven them to control too much.
"They made the same mistake," Lena whispered. "They did," the presence confirmed.
They believed guidance must become command. The images shifted again. Lena saw the current galaxy, the council, the trade routes, the hidden networks that shaped power. She saw how some species thrived while others struggled, not because of ability but because of access. "They use what they don't understand," Lena said, "and they fear anyone who might understand it better." "Yes." The presence grew quieter, more focused. "You have been tested for calm, for compassion, and for choice. One test remains." The space darkened slightly. A single path of light formed ahead, leading deeper into the core. Lena felt a pull, not physical but emotional. She knew what waited there would not be simple. "What is the final test?" she asked. The answer came slowly: to refuse what others would take. The light path opened into a wide chamber. At its center floated a sphere of shifting color. It was beautiful, constantly changing, like a living star. Lena felt its power even from a distance. This was not just knowledge. This was control over the hidden network, control over gates, energy flows, and communication across the galaxy. With this, the presence said, you could command what others cannot. You could reshape balance. Lena's breath caught. She understood the danger immediately. "And the cost?" she asked. "You would become central," the presence replied. "Others would depend on you. Balance would rest on your will." Lena felt the weight of that offer press against her chest. She imagined humans no longer pushed aside. She imagined fear turning into respect. She imagined safety, strength, and freedom. Then she imagined something else. Humans becoming what they hated. Becoming another council. Another force that decided who rose and who fell. "No," she said quietly. The spear pulsed, brighter. "You refuse power." "I refuse ownership," Lena replied. "I refuse control over others. Knowledge can be shared. Power like this cannot." Silence filled the chamber. The longest silence yet. Back at Haven Reach, tension filled every room. Energy spikes spread across the galaxy. Several trade routes shut down at once. The council chambers erupted into chaos. Alien leaders demanded answers. Aiden watched the data feeds, his heart racing. He recognized patterns in the failures. They were precise, limited, controlled. Someone was shaping the network, not breaking it. "She's doing this," he whispered. "But not to dominate." An alien observer turned sharply. "The human must be stopped." Aiden met its gaze. "Or maybe you should listen for once." Inside the structure, the presence spoke again. "You have passed." The sphere dimmed, shrinking, its light flowing outward instead of inward. The chamber changed. The power dispersed, weaving itself back into the structure, now locked behind conditions that no single species could override. "Balance preserved," the presence said. "Control denied." Lena exhaled, her body trembling with relief and exhaustion. "What happens now? You will carry truth, not command. You will carry memory, not authority. The structure began to transfer data again, but this time differently. The information focused on understanding, not control. It showed how to stabilize roots without dominance, how to free suppressed worlds without replacing one ruler with another. Lena absorbed it slowly, carefully. This was not a burden she would carry alone. This was knowledge meant to be shared. Suddenly the calm shattered. A violent pulse tore through the outer layers of the structure. Alarms flared on Lena's ship. She grabbed the controls, fighting the sudden instability. "What is happening?" she demanded. The presence reacted sharply. They attempt a force entry. Lena saw it then. Several alien vessels had followed the damaged ship's report. They were trying to breach the structure using stolen fragments of the network. Their fear had driven them to recklessness.
"They'll tear it apart," Lena said.
"Yes. Can you stop them? We can defend," the presence replied. "But defense will cause destruction." Lena's mind raced. "Give me access." Limited. Enough to speak. The presence hesitated. "You would expose yourself."
"I already have," Lena said.
"Let me try." The structure pulsed once, then granted her request. Lena opened a channel, not through normal space, but through the network itself. Her voice carried across systems, reaching the invading ships and beyond, echoing into council chambers. "This is a human pilot," she said, her voice steady. "You are entering a protected system. This place is not a weapon. It is a warning." The alien leaders responded with anger and fear. Demands flooded the channel. Claims of ownership. Threats of force. Lena listened, then spoke again. "You sent me to fail," she said. "You expected nothing from me. But this structure responds to choice, not power. If you force it, you will destroy what you rely on." The channel fell silent. She continued, "Pull back. Let balance remain. Or prove that you fear fairness more than loss." The invading ships hesitated. Their systems strained under unstable energy. One by one they retreated, unwilling to risk total collapse. Back at Haven Reach, the feed stabilized, routes reopened, systems calmed. Aiden let out a breath he had been holding for what felt like years. Inside the structure, the presence spoke softly. "Your words carry weight." "Not forever," Lena said. "Only as long as people listen, that is enough." The chamber began to fade. The core withdrew, sealing itself deeper within layers of protected space. The structure prepared to sleep again, its purpose fulfilled for now. "You will leave changed," the presence said. "But you will leave." Lena felt her ship regain control. Engines hummed back to life. Navigation systems realigned, showing a path outward. "Will we meet again?" she asked. When choices tested again came the reply. The space around her opened. Light poured in, then receded, returning her to familiar stars. The structure vanished from sight, hidden once more. Lana leaned back in her seat, exhausted but alive. A weak transmission came through, clearer this time. "Lena," Aiden's voice said, shaking. "You did it." The whole network just... She smiled, tears streaming down her face. "No," she said softly. "We did." As her ship set course back toward known space, Lena knew the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had not taken power. Humanity had taken responsibility, and the Council knew it. The stars outside Lena's ship returned to normal as she navigated back toward familiar space. The deep unknown behind her seemed smaller now, yet heavier in memory. The structure she had entered was gone from sight, but its influence lingered. Lena could feel it in the vibrations of her ship, in the quiet hum of the network, and in the knowledge that she now carried. Knowledge meant to guide, not command. Back at Haven Reach, Aiden paced the observation deck. His eyes scanned every feed, every sector, but Lena's absence was like a shadow across his thoughts. When the first reports of the network stabilization came in, the station erupted in cautious celebration. The alien observers were quiet, uneasy. Their systems had lost influence without warning, and they could not fully understand why. Humanity had acted, and the result was balance. That was something the Council had never expected. Aiden clenched his fists. Humanity was moving forward in ways the Council had never anticipated, and Lena had led the way. The first human fleet to escort Lena back assembled at the outer perimeter. It was small but well-equipped, using ships designed for speed, defense, and endurance. Most humans had not expected to travel so far into unknown space, but now they were moving as protectors, not supplicants. Lena's ship emerged from the final unknown sector. The fleet hailed her immediately. "Welcome back, pilot," a voice called from one of the lead vessels. "Reports show the network stabilized. Status? All stable," Lena replied calmly. "The structure is secure, and the system is closed to unauthorized access. Balance has been restored." The fleet officer's tone shifted slightly, a mix of respect and surprise. "That is unexpected. How did you manage it alone?" "I did not act alone," Lena said. "I acted for humanity and for fairness. Power can be dangerous. Guidance is not."
The fleet moved with her as they returned to Haven Reach. Systems along the routes began to come back online, showing energy levels, communications, and travel pathways that had been disrupted.
Many alien species noticed the sudden shift. Some panicked, believing humans had seized control. Others were confused, unable to understand why the network obeyed humans more than aliens. Inside Haven Reach, the council chambers erupted. Alien leaders demanded explanations. They called for human accountability, expecting fear, expecting hesitation. Instead, Aiden and a group of station officials spoke clearly and firmly. "Humanity did not take control," Aiden said. "We stabilized what was already here. We chose to guide, not dominate. Nothing has changed except that balance has returned." The council exchanged uneasy looks. Some species had lost temporary control of key systems, yet nothing catastrophic had occurred. For once, humans had acted, and the galaxy had survived, even benefited. In the quiet of her ship, Lena watched the stars. She thought of the structure, the pulse of light, and the presence that had tested her. She realized the journey was far from over. Many worlds relied on human guidance now, even indirectly. The responsibility was immense. She did not seek it, but she could not refuse it. A weak signal appeared on her console. It was from a distant world, one affected by disrupted energy routes. The inhabitants there would need evacuation or assistance.
Lena adjusted her course.
She was not returning home yet. Humanity had to move forward. It had to act. She reflected on her choice in the core chamber. She could have taken control, wielded the network to establish power over other species. It would have been easy. The alien fleets would have obeyed, the council would have feared her, and human influence could have grown instantly. But she had refused. Refusing had not weakened her. It had strengthened humanity, because the people she represented could now act with trust, not fear. The alien vessel that had followed her before returned briefly. This time, there was no threat. It hovered at a distance, observing. Lena understood their hesitation. They could not predict human behavior. Humans had chosen compassion over conquest, choice over force. That was a new factor in the galaxy, one that even the Council could not ignore. Aiden coordinated with a station, directing resources to help stabilizing worlds. His team repaired damaged systems, restored energy flows, and guided the fleet along safe paths. The humans at Haven Reach were learning that they could influence events, not by weapons or domination, but by skill, judgment, and courage. Lena's ship received more reports. A minor conflict had begun on a border world. Several alien factions sought to exploit instability, unaware that humans now understood the network enough to anticipate their movements. Lena transmitted guidance, carefully nudging events to prevent escalation without asserting dominance. She felt satisfaction in the quiet power of choice. The journey home was long. Along the way, Lena reflected on her relationship with Aiden. He had chosen to support her, to work in the background while she faced the unknown. Their partnership had carried humanity forward. They had different strengths. He built and repaired, she explored and adapted. But together they represented a future humans could not have expected just a generation ago. As Haven Reach came into view, Lena felt a surge of relief. The station seemed smaller than she remembered, yet it was alive with purpose. Humans were no longer limited to survival. They were moving forward. The alien observers were silent as her ship docked. They could see that humans had changed the rules without breaking them, had stabilized what they had been told to fear. Aiden rushed to the dock as the doors opened. He embraced her without words. Lena allowed herself a moment of rest, knowing there would be no time for celebration yet. Humanity had new responsibilities now. The station announced the arrival of news. Several previously suppressed worlds reported improved conditions. Systems previously under alien control were stabilizing independently. Trade routes reopened without interference. Humanity's action had ripple effects across the galaxy. The Council demanded answers. Lena, Aiden, and a small delegation of humans presented what had happened. They explained the structure, the test, and their choice to guide rather than control. Alien leaders listened, some angry, some skeptical, some quietly impressed. "This is not domination," Lena said. "This is partnership. We acted not for ourselves, but for balance. The network exists to maintain stability, not to grant power. Let all species understand this." A silence followed her words. For the first time, humans were heard, and the galaxy had to listen. Later, Lena walked the station's observation deck, looking at the stars she had just navigated. The unknown no longer felt as distant, yet it held lessons she would carry forever. She thought of the pulse of the structure, of the choice it had asked her to make, and of the subtle guidance it had provided. Humanity had survived its first test in deep space not by power, but by courage and judgment. Aiden joined her silently. He placed a hand on her shoulder. "You did what I could not imagine anyone doing," he said, "and yet you did it without taking power." Lena smiled faintly. "Someone had to show that humans can be trusted, not by fear, not by force, by choice."
Aiden nodded.
"We've changed the rules now. The galaxy knows humans are different. They will watch us. They may try to test us again."
"And we will be ready,"
Lena replied. "Not because we are stronger, but because we choose wisely." Together they stood, looking at the stars. The galaxy was wide, unpredictable, and dangerous. But humanity had begun to step forward, not as subjects of fear, but as guides of hope. The journey was far from over, but the first steps had been taken. The unknown no longer ruled. Humans were moving forward, and for the first time the stars seemed within reach. Warnings continued to arrive from minor systems, some alien factions still resisting, some attempting to exploit gaps. Lena and Aiden coordinated responses. Every action mattered, every decision carried weight. They realized that stabilizing the galaxy required patience, planning, and the willingness to act without demanding control. The alien observers remained wary. Some began to speak quietly among themselves, recognizing that humans had changed. Others plotted in silence, unwilling to show respect openly. The council was unsettled. Humanity's actions had rewritten assumptions about what humans could do. As evening fell across the station, Lena and Aiden returned to the engineering bay. Systems hummed, monitors displayed normal readings, and minor repairs were underway. Yet every panel reminded them that this was only the beginning. Humanity had gained knowledge, experience, and influence, but no one could predict what tests lay ahead. Lena looked at Aiden. "We've done it," she said. "We've moved forward." He nodded. "But moving forward means being ready for the next challenge. And we will be." Above, the stars twinkled, endless and patient. The galaxy waited. Humanity had taken its first true step into the wider universe, guided by courage, choice, and the refusal to take power for its own sake. And that was enough to change everything. Lena's ship drifted slowly away from Haven Reach, leaving the station behind like a small dot in the vast galaxy. The stars stretched endlessly in all directions, quiet and steady, yet full of unseen dangers. She had returned from the structure, from the place that had tested her, from the choice that had changed humanity's path. Yet she did not feel relief. She felt responsibility. The galaxy had shifted because of her decisions, and she could feel the weight of what humans now carried. Aiden stood on the observation deck of Haven Reach, watching her ship disappear into the distance. He felt pride and fear at the same time. Humanity had grown stronger, not through power, but through courage and judgment. But the galaxy was wide, full of species that still saw humans as weak, emotional, and unpredictable. Some would try to test humanity again. Some would try to exploit the trust Lena had earned. The reports continued to arrive. Worlds that had been restricted, controlled, or suppressed began to stabilize naturally. Communications reopened, trade flowed, and several alien factions withdrew from contested sectors. The galaxy had learned something new. Humans acted differently. They could guide, protect, and choose without demanding control. That idea alone unsettled many species. Lena's ship was not empty. Small transmissions came in from distant planets. Some were emergencies caused by the prior network disruptions. Others were messages of gratitude from communities that had been freed from restriction, systems that could now rebuild without outside interference. Lena adjusted her course carefully, responding to each message with calm efficiency. She did not intervene with power. She guided subtly, ensuring safety and stability. The alien factions that had resisted now watched her cautiously. Some sent envoys, hoping to understand what humans had done. Others prepared fleets, uncertain if they should challenge or respect the actions of a single pilot. Lena understood the caution. Humans had changed the rules of engagement without striking a single blow. That unpredictability was now a human advantage. Aiden coordinated from Haven Reach, sending resources, repair crews, and guidance to the ships responding to the various crises. The station had become a hub, not only for repair and trade, but for strategic coordination. Humanity was no longer a passive player in the galaxy. It was a stabilizing force, moving carefully, learning constantly, and acting with restraint. Lena's thoughts returned often to the structure. The pulse of light, the presence, the final test. They had changed her deeply. She had refused control. She had refused ownership. And yet she had accepted responsibility. That distinction mattered. Humans could now be trusted, but the trust came with vigilance. She would not wield power for herself, but she would act when needed. The journey continued. Lena visited distant systems, aiding in minor conflicts, restoring communication, and offering guidance without interference. Each choice she made reinforced what humanity had learned. Power was not in force, but in careful, deliberate action. Aliens began to notice. Some grudgingly respected humans. Others feared them in a new way. Not as conquerors, but as unpredictable agents of balance. Back at Haven Reach, Aiden and the station team managed multiple crises simultaneously. Supply ships, trade negotiations, and minor military disputes were resolved efficiently. Humans were learning quickly. They had been underestimated for centuries, but now the galaxy was witnessing human adaptability and judgment firsthand. The Council remained uneasy. Alien leaders debated endlessly about the human pilot, the network, and the structure she had accessed. They could not control it, and they could not predict the outcome of their interference. That alone gave humans influence without taking it. Lena's final transmissions for the day returned a single message from a small planet at the edge of explored space. The community had stabilized, their infrastructure repaired, and their people safe. Lena smiled faintly. It was a simple success, but significant. It was a result of choice, not conquest. She had proven that humans could act for the good of many without seeking power over any. Aiden's voice came over the comm. All sectors report stability for now. You've done more than anyone expected. Lena replied calmly. It is only the beginning. Humanity has responsibilities now. We cannot act recklessly, but we cannot remain passive. The stars outside her ship seemed to shimmer, almost as if acknowledging her words. The galaxy had changed. Humans had moved forward, and their actions had consequences that even they could not yet fully measure. Back at Haven Reach, Aiden looked at the reports one more time. Human influence was subtle, measured, and widespread. Planets rebuilt themselves, trade resumed naturally, and alien species adjusted to a new reality where humans were neither weak nor violent, but deliberate and capable. The galaxy would take note. Lena adjusted the ship's course toward the edge of mapped space. She did not return immediately to the station. She had work to do, guidance to provide, and systems to observe. Her journey was far from over. The unknown still awaited. There were still tests, still challenges, still mysteries to uncover. Yet for the first time, humanity had a voice in the galaxy. Aiden knew that one pilot, one choice, had shifted centuries of expectation. Humanity would no longer be overlooked. They had demonstrated courage, judgment, and wisdom, and the galaxy had seen it. The alien observers, still monitoring from afar, debated quietly. Some recognized that humans were no longer predictable or weak. Some worried what this would mean in the future. Others began to reconsider alliances, knowing that the humans had acted without desire for domination, yet had reshaped events across multiple systems. Lena's ship continued to move forward. The stars stretched endlessly, quiet and eternal. She reflected on the lessons she had learned. Courage without recklessness, power without selfishness, guidance without domination. These were human strengths, and they would carry humanity further than any council, any empire, or any fleet had expected. As the ship moved deeper into space, Lena received a final weak signal from Haven Reach. Aiden's voice came through, calm but filled with emotion. Return when you can. Humanity has grown, thanks to you. We are ready for the next step, together. Lena smiled, her heart steady. I will return, she said softly. But the stars are waiting, and humanity must follow. The ship accelerated smoothly, navigating toward the unknown, toward the new systems that awaited human exploration. The galaxy watched silently. Humanity had moved forward, not by power, but by choice, by courage, and by refusing the easy path of control. And somewhere, deep in the heart of the hidden structure, the pulse of light rested again, patient, waiting for the next moment when humanity would need it, knowing they had proven themselves worthy not by force but by the wisdom to act responsibly. The journey continued. The stars were no longer distant. They were within reach. Humanity had taken its first true step among them, guided not by fear or ambition, but by the careful choices of one pilot and the courage of all who had supported her. The galaxy was vast, unpredictable, and alive. Humanity had moved forward, and nothing would ever be the same. The future was theirs to shape, not through domination, but through wisdom, courage, and the quiet strength of choice. Lena looked ahead at the endless stars. She understood now. Humans would explore, humans would learn, and humans would guide. And the stars would watch, patient and eternal, as humanity finally took its place among them.